Jetzt gut. Steh auf, weiter.
6 months later.
What is up, everyone? It's the Natural here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And we are back once again with another TMIR This Month In review. It's that time of the month again, which I dive into all the big, massive stories, all the crazy stories, all the insane, bonkers, ridiculous, what the hell, how did that happen, wholesome moments as well that's happened in each and every single month as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So, what has happened in the 6th month of the year, that is June of 2022? How, oh how, do we change America's mentality with guns?
Now, I believe you have some sort of firearm for me?
Well, let's see here. According to your background check, you've been in a mental institution,
Yeah?
frequent problems with alcohol,
Yeah.
you beat up President Bush.
Former president. Potentially dangerous?
Relax, that just limits you to 3 handguns or less.
Woohoo!
And the reason why I say that is because pretty much the end of last month, but because obviously this is still an ongoing investigation, an ongoing topic that everybody is still sore to the core about, that 21 people died in one of the worst Texas mass shootings, maybe even one of the worst mass shootings in American history, happened at a primary school in Uvalde. I probably butchered the name of the town, but yeah, in Texas. And like I said, 21 people died, 19 kids died, along with 2 teachers as well, all because of an 18-year-old kid who obviously had a lot of mental and insane problems, and on his 18th birthday bought not 1 but 2 assault rifles. And to think that's even more ridiculous, he actually shot his own freaking grandmother, which I still think is still in intensive care and still trying, to get better. But the fact that an 18-year-old kid on his freaking birthday bought 2 assault rifles, it's like, how the hell did he manage? I mean, you just walk into a gun store and just give anyone a gun. But it's not the only mass shooting that also happened in America. There's also another mass shooting that happened in Buffalo in a supermarket where a white guy shot 10 black African American people. And the fact that 2 gun mass shootings in America just these past few weeks alone, I find actually fucking unacceptable, to be honest. And it all goes down to the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, you may be asking yourself what it is. Well, it is the right to bear arms, which means America have the right to own a gun. As much, you have to be 21 to own a handgun. So that kid who had those 2 assault rifles on his birthday, it was okay to him to buy a freaking assault rifle, but not a handgun. He had to be 21 to have a handgun. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It should not be the other way around, but no, I don't understand how an 18-year-old kid who probably never used a gun, never had gun training, probably doesn't have a license for a gun, has arguably one of the most military assault rifles you can get. I'm flabbergasted by that. I'm still am. But like I said, go back to the Second Amendment, right to bear arms. This amendment was made in the 1700s when guns were like this.
So I bring the musket up, lay it reasonably parallel, and I open the pan. I'm going to reach into my cartridge pouch and withdraw a paper cartridge. I'm going to spit the remainder of the powder out, pour a portion of the powder into the pan. Now I'm going to cast the musket down so that I can pour the rest of the powder down the barrel and put the paper in, because the paper will stop the powder and ball falling out. Now I'm going to ram it down very tightly. Recover my ramrod, otherwise the weapon is completely useless. Very important to recover the ramrod. Now I take it from half cock to full cock. The weapon is now ready to fire. So I'm going to now raise it to the high port, and with a bit of pressure on the trigger, I'm going to fire the musket.
We're in the 21st century today, 2022 of the date of this recording, and guns are this today. So going on that sort of road of should America change its gun control laws and rules, I think they should, but I don't think they will, because of two things. Number one, obviously the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. Number two, America. I'm not saying all Americans, I'm saying a minority of Americans.
Mainly the ones who dress in Rambo gear.
That love guns. They get a thrill out of guns. I'm going to say this, they love guns more than sex. I'm saying that. They love nothing more than going on the firing range and going and shooting. Having the time of their life shooting animals, shooting pigeons. That's what they get a thrill out of doing. Don't say I'm not wrong, because I am right. But there's also a lot of backlash, you could say, from the media, saying that you have to blame these violent video games for the rise of guns, or they're playing Call of Duty, they want to be in, having a gun. It's like, I've played Call of Duty. I've played Grand Theft Auto. You don't see me riding my Ducati bike, going to a strip club, which I think is so degrading towards women, but that's just my honest opinion, and see a woman dry hump a freaking pole, come back, freaking hijack a submarine and a helicopter, and try and freaking raid a bank for $500 million.
No, that's just like, what the hell? It's
ridiculous, just typical media that make it up, really. It's like, no, gun deaths are not because of violent video games. It's because of idiotic people who don't even understand how the gun works. How many more mass shootings is there got to be before America changed, before America grew a set of balls and say, you know what, this has to change. This can't keep happening, because this has to stop. It has to stop. It has to stop somewhere. You have to draw a line in the sand somewhere, because we're seeing far too many kids, far too many people dying. And I will say this to 50 senators, I want you to look into those kids' eyes who died in that. Those 19 kids who died. Also the two teachers as well, but mainly I'm just focused on the kids. Those kids had bright futures. The youngest was 7. A 7-year-old kid died in the Texas mass shooting. 7. Imagine if you were a parent and your 7-year-old daughter or son died out of your control. How would that make you feel? You'd be fucking angry. You'd be absolutely full of rage. And I don't blame you. Something's got to change in America with gun control, because this is unacceptable. I am sick and tired of talking about America's problems. I've talked about COVID, I've talked about the anti-vaxxers, I've talked about so much problems in that freaking country that I'm sick and tired of talking about it. It's like America gotta wake up and actually smell the coffee that you're actually drinking from, because your own country is dying right in front of you. Do something about this, or you're going to see more mass shootings and more mass shootings until half the fucking population in America is gone.
Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without...
2 men with sizable cock.
Now, to make things extra special...
I feel I need an ungainly squirt early in the morning before a day's work.
That's very easy, but it guarantees your bird won't be a dry one.
Anyway, to business, or rather pleasure.
We'll start off with a little bit of rest. Really seriously moist. Now, crush your nuts. Gently, without becoming too overpowering. Now, this is, for me, the secret that keeps the bird really nice and moist. 3 fingers, 1 in front, 2 behind.
Ooh, and then sit in the warm liquid. It could get messy.
I quite like it. Hot.
Which looks beautiful.
Trust me, it tastes amazing.
How could you not be charmed by that? Because any minute now, it's going to be covered luxuriantly.
A baguette inside. You want that going through with ease.
And I'm not embarrassed about it.
I'm not finished. All you need to do now is just get your hands in there and then just cream. But inside here,
How the worst movie, Morpheus, became the biggest meme to come out of this year.
Who the hell are you, man?
I know.
Done.
That's right, there's a brand new movie that Marvel made, Morpheus. I have never seen it, I've never even heard of this movie. But going from the reviews of this movie and the people who have seen this movie, which is literally hardly anyone, probably 5-6 people, it's not great. It's terrible. The script's terrible, you know, the story's not great, etc, etc, etc. But because of the rise of the memes about this movie in terms of the negativity of it, the people at Marvel thought,
Hey, you know what? People are actually tweeting memes about this. It's obviously trending on Twitter.
not for the good way, but for the bad way.
And it's like, why don't we release it in cinemas again?
I mean, what was they thinking? I mean, it's ridiculous to say the least. It's all like, who releases a movie, who puts a movie back in cinema that's, let's just say, memed to death? People say, is it the worst movie of all time? People say yes. I haven't seen it, so I can't really say. But if it's in the same bracket as Jack and Jill from Adam Sandler, and yes, I have seen that movie. I left 15 minutes during the movie because I was so bored and just some of the humour was absolutely garbage. It was just terrible. So yeah, I left. It was terrible.
Shut up, bitch!
But yeah, that's the only mad movie story of this month is Morpheus, one of the worst movies of all time, got memed back in cinema and actually thought it was going to do well again. It didn't. The average viewer watching it in the cinema was 5 people. So 5 people went into an empty cinema to watch that movie. Crazy. A restaurant in Arizona has a restaurant in Arizona has a salt wall that you can lick at.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's right, I have actually couldn't believe how bonkers and ridiculous this story was. So I actually had to contact the restaurant. That's right, the Natural had to do some CSI work in terms of, is this really true that you actually lick a wall in a restaurant? I just said, look, is your wall lickable? Do people actually go and lick your wall? And they said yes. And I couldn't believe what he was about to tell me next, because I was like, there's no way that this has been going on for this length of time. This Himalaya rock salt wall has been there for 17 years.
What?
That's right. 17. This has been going on for 17 years. 2005 is when this was made. I couldn't believe that. I was like, how the hell am I only hearing about this today? How am I only hearing about this now? I usually find all the bunker stories every month. I've never heard of this story, and I've been doing this show for 4 years. I could have talked about this story last year, the year before, but only now have I heard about this. They've been keeping this a secret for 17 years.
Unbelievable. I can't believe that. That's what I'm actually mad about.
If you want to go to a restaurant in Arizona and you want to lick walls, this is the perfect one for you. And our final wholesome story of this month is because the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, because Putin's Russia is obviously invading their country and still an ongoing war. But it didn't stop the kids from having their prom in Ukraine.
There were pretty dresses and parents excitedly taking photos, but this is not the prom these Ukrainian students had imagined. According to Ukraine's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, this burnt-out building is the ruins of school number 134. It was heavily damaged by bombing on February 27, 2022, just days after Russia launched their full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Many families have fled the city of Kharkiv since the fighting began, but these seniors dressed up and on a basketball court performed the dances they'd likely practiced for months. Their audience included soldiers who have been fighting invaders to their homeland. But it proves that amongst the fighting, these kids have a will of steel.
It just goes to show that even in troublesome times, people can still find ways of positivity from it. Anyway, that's the end of another video on the channel and the end of another TMIR This Month In Review. If you think that Morpheus is one of the worst movies of all time, or you may also think Jack and Jill is one of the worst movies of all time, then just lean back and headbutt that motherfucking like button. You can also follow my social media platforms, the link is just down there in the description. I hope you all have an amazing day out there. Stay safe and healthy too. Please like, subscribe. The natural, the punk of YouTube is out.